welcome to Ask Mom's podcast.
Hi, this is Kim and Kim. Welcome to Ask Mom's podcast. We certainly are not professionals, but we can share our experience and remind you that you're awesome. We are talking all things motherhood, the good, the tough, and everything in between. And today's episode of Ask Moms is Chores, Allowance, and the Magic of a Clean Room.
I wanted to introduce, we have a guest today, and Nick's here with us today. Hi, Nick.
Hi, everybody. I feel uncomfortable with all you moms, so take whatever I say at base value, right?
Yeah, just know you're not getting an allowance for this.
Oh, then there's no incentive. I'm going to go to the TV and just put my feet up and watch TV all day.
Yeah.
And today we're diving into one of parenting's trickiest balancing act, chores, allowance, and how to not lose your mind when your kid thinks making their bed is too much work.
Okay, so I'm going to use an example right now. Okay, so I did a little bit of research, and Dr. Becky, who if you listen to us, you know I refer to her a lot. She had a short video of what to do when you say to your child, okay, it's time to make your bed, and they say, no, I'm not doing it. Instead of meeting that energy. So she's saying instead of meeting that energy, what you should do is say, whoa, like we're all on the same team here, and make them just kind of stand back and think about that. So she said it might seem a little far-fetched, but it really works. So let's try that.
Mm-hmm. Kind of diffuses the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I love that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It changes the
like
energy,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So we can talk about that 8-year-old literally that asks, and the 8-year-old that asks if they can get paid for brushing their teeth.
Right.
So we need to find that balance, right?
Yeah. And how about when they try to negotiate a bonus for feeding the dog because it was emotional labor for them?
Oh, my God.
They're getting smarter, aren't they?
Yeah. I know.
They so are.
I know.
Way smarter than I am.
So let's talk about that. Age-appropriate chores. So I feel like there should be a sweet spot when they want to help, right? So Nick,
Yes.
just before the podcast, you told us a story of when your kids, when you would do the dishes or your approach to that type of chore.
It's a tough decision for all of us, right? And again, I stress it's a personal decision, your comfort zone. But if we can always find a way to create fun, make it interactive, a fun game, family experience. So instead of saying, come and let's do the chores of washing the dishes or laundry or let's bring all the laundry down, if you find a way to make it fun and so that it doesn't appear to be a chore, I think that's one way to get over the hump of trying to figure out, do you force it or do you incent it, right? And I think that's the struggle we all have. When's the right time? But I always wanted to start first with, hey, let's do it for the sake of the family, or we'll make it a competition, right? You try and diverge the idea of a chore into a fun activity. Always helped us out.
Yeah. So I can see a book.
Yes.
I think Nick needs to write a book because Nick has that energy. Like he's in sales management for years and years and years, leadership. So.
Yeah, and I love that.
A
you know
little
why?
spin-off book for us.
I love the book because you know what I found out too? Whether it's in chores with your kids or coaching a soccer team, which I did for 18 years, I applied the things that I learned at home and on the field and at work because they all intersected, right? Whether I'm coaching my kids at work or my kids on the field or my kids at home, it's all the same mechanics. So to be honest, I learned a lot from just each other foreplaying on the other, right? What's the best tactic? You learn. And as a parent, we don't have the right playbook, right? But you learn. And if you can practice with your soccer kids, get to tell them the story. I always found if you gave them a story, they buy into the story. It's easy to transfer that. Same thing at work, whether it's a customer or one of my employees, or at home. If you find a way to create the story behind what you're asking them to do, same thing, brushing your teeth.
See what I mean? No, so let's go back let's start at the beginning. Let's go to toddlers.
Okay, so toddlers, that stage is where they're obsessed with brooms and laundry baskets and vacuums and hoses and all that stuff. So they love cleaning then at that age. It's too terrible that they're awful at it, but and that it goes away really, really fast if we could, harvest that energy. But anyway, so the toddler stage.
So for little ones, like ages 2 to 4, we're talking simple stuff, right?
Yeah.
Simple stuff like putting toys in bins, wiping down their table with a baby wipe. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I should have used that.
Yeah.
And helping feed the pet with supervision, of course. Instead of a cup of food, it's like half a bag.
It's happening.
Yeah.
And at the same time, while you're teaching them that, it's building habits for them, right? So it's not perfection. And if the dog ends up with like 3 breakfasts, whatever, right, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Kim, I love what you said about the consistency and the habits, right? It's so important. And again, I transfer that into everything that we've ever done at home, on the field, or at work. It's building the right habits, but it has to be a foundational base built on the consistency of that habit, or else the kids won't understand how to move forward. Another thought.
And then it's not an argument either, right?
Yeah.
Like if they have the understanding that this is what I'm going to be doing, you don't have to keep asking them all the time.
And it's basic life skills, right? Like learning how to make your
100%.
bed.
Yeah.
And it's always one thought for the group is progression, right?
Yeah.
Everything that you do is you do it once and you show them up to a certain level. Once they've gotten to that level, you move to progression, the next level, right? Because we don't want to create failure, right? If you give them too much to do all at once, they'll feel insecure about it. They'll fail, and they won't do it again.
You're
right?
setting them up for failure
You're
that
setting them
way.
up for failure.
Yeah.
That's right, Kim.
Yeah.
So then around 5 to 7, let's talk about that. So they can start doing things like making their bed, setting the table, maybe watering plants, and sorting laundry.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to resist the urge to redo everything that they did, right? It's not going to be your way. It's not going to be perfect. But acknowledge that they did it and praise them. Like, yay, you guys.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
I can tell you I already messed up from age 2 to 4.
I think we all did.
I went off the rails.
Yeah.
I went off the
we're
rails.
not perfect. That's why we're
No.
doing this. We're
Yes.
trying to just give you parents some hints, just some help.
Yeah.
Things we didn't do. Things we wish we knew.
I know. And I'm that person that I would tidy the bed. Like, I'm admitting it. It's not easy to walk away if you're that kind of person too. Like when I leave a room and I like it to be a certain way.
Yep.
So it's hard to just kind of.
I know a
let
few
it go.
Virgos, and and they want perfectionism. But you're right; you have to resist a little bit of that at certain times, right?
Yeah.
And
take it from me, because I paid the price to just throw a blanket on top and call it decorative.
Yeah.
I think that was your idea.
Yes,
That's a great idea.
Exactly. Like, whatever. It's not the way you did it, but good on them.
Yeah.
For the ages 8 to 12 crowd, they can really start helping out, right? They can do dishes, vacuuming, folding laundry, helping pack lunches. How about being in charge of taking out the recycling?
free labor. I
Yes.
love it.
I love that. Yeah. And how about putting music on while they're emptying the dishwasher?
Great idea.
Or,
Exactly. You can, like you said, Nick, make it fun. Say, like, okay, let's put the tunes on. And how many songs does it take before the dishwasher is
one.
emptied, right?
I'm in.
Yes,
I'm in.
right? Right? And then you're not even really paying attention to the dishes. You're just trying to do it, right? And listening to the song and seeing when it ends.
My advice is don't punish yourself on that first one, because whether it's right or wrong or you messed up, we tend to punish ourselves for getting it wrong. And I want to give you permission. It's okay to mess up, right? You're not going to get it right the first time. It may not be perfect. It's that consistency, the fact that you care, you try, you're making it fun. That's the most important.
So when that happens, do you let it go, or do you try to show them the right way to So there's a line for me that I don't want them to feel bad that they didn't do it right the first time. When's the right time to teach them to do it properly?
Like
Maybe
if they make their bed but they don't do it well.
Yeah.
Like, when do you correct that, or do you?
Well, I think you want to have a standard, right? Standards are important in anything that we do, right?
Yeah.
It depends on, again, that progression. If you showed them how to do it and you were consistent, you got excited when they did it first, but they did it wrong, you have to be careful because you got excited and you did it and they did it wrong, but you got excited. So, explain that, right? You have to explain that. I am very excited for this activity that you just did, and we're going to reward that. Ask them to self-reflect. Could it be better? It's tough to do with kids, right? Especially at what age? You're talking about age appropriate. So when are they able to dissect the difference between I did it, try something, right?
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I used at work, which again, you think of work and how do you bring it home? We used to do the same thing with employees. And employees, we ask them to do a task, and you ask them 1 to 10, how good were you? Mm-hmm. And they go, and the person will say, I was a 7. Okay, and everybody picks 7, by the way, because it's safe, right?
Yeah.
But you know what we did differently? Instead of saying, how can you have taken the 7 to a 9? Instead of doing that, it's a reverse psychology. They go, why didn't you give yourself a 5? Oh, I didn't give myself a 5 because I actually really took time on the bed and I folded best I could, but I couldn't lift the bed. Otherwise, I would have probably been a 5. Mm-hmm. Oh, but it kind of creates the positivity.
And you can break that down into child age appropriate activity.
Behavior.
Yeah, I like that. You kind of work it backwards,
Mm-hmm.
eh?
Yeah. So instead of saying, how do you become a 9, that forces a lot of pressure on them. They don't want that. You want to recognize they were a 7. Why weren't you a 4? Right?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm not a 4 because I actually did a good bed.
So instead of asking why you didn't go up, you're asking why did you reach 7?
And it's a self-positive reflection for the child. Yeah.
So instead of reprimanding them for what they did wrong, you're acknowledging and celebrating what they did right and encouraging them.
We're doing a high five.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we made a noise, but it was
Yeah.
worth it. Yes, exactly.
That's-
Yes.
We're
Okay.
moving on to allowances. So this is the tricky one. So just before the podcast, do you mind if I mention
Not
this?
at all, no.
So just before the podcast, last night I did a bit of research on what a financial advisor / therapist, if anybody ever heard of the Ramsey report, it's his daughter. I forget her name, but anyway, she had a great idea. So when she asked, some parents are saying, they should not get an allowance for making their beds or doing chores at home because they're part of the family and they should contribute. Then other parents are saying, no, we should give them an allowance because it teaches them that they're earning money and helps them to learn how to manage that money. If they want to buy something, they have to save for it. So it kind of has a ripple effect into learning about managing money. So she said, they're both right. So what do? We meet in the middle. So the middle would be like everyday chores would be what? Like making your bed?
Yeah.
Like what would be...
Putting your clothes in the laundry.
Yeah.
Taking your dishes off the table, cleaning up after yourself, that kind of everyday chores.
Personal stuff
Yeah.
around the home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the standard of the house, right? Like that kind of stuff. So they would not get paid for that. If you said, if you wash my car, I'll give you $1. So that's over and above stuff. So things at home, cutting the grass or whatever that means to you. So that way they're responsible for keeping their room clean, making their bed, whatever you decide is the standard of your house. And then the over and above stuff you can, offer that allowance.
So you could even
100%.
have a list of bonus jobs that they could, how about I wash the car today? And then that they'll be expecting a little bit of.
And maybe they can come up to you with suggestions.
Yeah.
Do you create bonuses? Like, here's $1 for the car or $2 for the car. However, if you do this and get it done by X, right, you'll get 3.
Then what's the quality of the...
I'm not sure if that's
right.
right. I don't know. I'm not the expert.
Your kids
right?
are older, eh?
Yeah.
You might have forgotten.
Throw
yeah.
the bucket at the car. Done.
A bucket
Their
of soapy
body
water.
is a soap,
Okay, so these are all great. And one size does not fit all, right? Every household is different. So, you'll figure out what works for you. And by that token, what's the going rate at your houses, right? How much do you get paid?
So I heard that some people start with $1 per year of age per week.
I've heard that too.
So so a 10-year-old gets $10 a week. But I make them, I think the intention is to make them save part of it and maybe even donate a little too, like contribute to the community or whatever. Do you really think $1's enough in this day and age? Like, what could you possibly get? So if you're going to give your child,
This is why
it's $40 a month. Yeah,
so
but
that's almost $500 a year if they do bonus.
But what child is going to?
Well, but what do they need? Or are they going to spend? What do they want to spend it on? And if they're working towards buying a video game or something, right? Then maybe they can save and do bonus jobs, works, things like that.
the way we're
bonus.
negotiating, would it make sense that that's what is required is having the conversation and negotiating
Because if they're saving
around
for,
an objective.
I think $10 is enough.
Huh. Okay, parents,
Average kids.
send us how much you guys
Yeah.
pay. We have no idea.
Yeah, and we'll do a follow-up on that.
Yeah. We need
Because
some research here.
our
Yeah, we
our
can
kids
share that.
are,
And you're right, different communities too. I hate to bring that up, but I lived in a smaller town and then I went to live in a suburbia town outside of Toronto. There are different standards by community. And I think this is where we have to be, and I'm glad you're asking the question, what do you think? It is, what do you think? If I'm living in Port Credit versus Oakville versus Hamilton, there may be different standards for the different communities.
or wherever you are listening.
Or wherever you are.
Yeah.
So this is a really good conversation. And I like the part where the kids have to split it into spend, save, give jars, right?
Yeah.
It's
Love
like,
that.
right? It's
Love
like
that.
financial literacy light. And I'm pretty sure Tiff Macklem would be very proud. Oh, he's our governor of Bank of Canada.
I'm lost too.
But here's the real question. How do we get them to actually do the chores without, having to turn into the Hulk and get angry and
Right. So like
or say, whoa.
the art of motivation or like creative bribery with a side of snacks or whatever it takes.
Honestly?
You know what? Motivation is harder, but more meaningful and worthwhile. I use that, and again, I bring the business world. Anyone can do carrot and stick, right? And here's a carrot, here's a carrot, or here's a stick. If you don't do it, or you do it, right?
Yes.
But you don't get the output. So if we're trying to teach our kids skills, like separating money into different jars, that's a skill set.
Yeah.
Everything requires a lot of communication, a lot more motivation. It's harder. But I'm telling you, it's more worthwhile if we pursue that versus try and tip the scale a bit more on motivation would be my bias, because carrot and stick then creates that habit of always wanting carrot and thinking of a stick. Expecting this, the wrong thing.
But the key thing that keeps coming up in every single episode is so critical, and that's communication.
Another high five.
I got a high five. Woohoo! I said something intelligent.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. Every
is
single
true.
podcast that we do talks about, or if we don't talk about it, communication is always underlying somewhere, right?
100%.
So communicating that consistency from an early age, which I did not do. I'm the one that would go in, and if the trucks weren't in the right spot, I'd put them in. Like,
You'd
I
pick
know,
it up yourself,
I know,
right?
I
Yeah.
know. But
And
yeah,
it's okay to do
communication.
that, so don't punish yourself for that. Now think about ways where you absolutely have to do it yourself because people are coming in and no one's around, and you're going to do it yourself. So there's always give yourself the way out, right?
Yeah.
Even if the kids are there, explain to the kids, hey, I had to pick up your stuff today.
Yeah.
I'm docking 50 cents off because it was really important to me, and mommy had to now change her whole day because of that.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate if you could help me make sure that I don't have to do that again. Like, is there a way to make it a learning moment? And I guess I used carrot and stick, didn't I? I said I did the stick. I deducted 50 cents off your.
Right.
So somehow we have to teach the kids that for every action there is a reaction.
Yeah,
So-
the toothbrush story for me, I've used so many years. And it was a client of mine who came and said, Nick, my kid wouldn't brush his teeth. And I said, before you come downstairs, you need to brush your teeth 2 minutes a day every day and before you go to school, or I'm not going to take you to school. And he tried to help him by being upstairs and making sure he brushed his teeth. And then he waited for him on some days downstairs. And as soon as he started walking down the stairs, the kid would walk down the stairs, the father would look up and go, "Did you brush your teeth?" And the kid would say no. He says, "Well, I'm not taking you to school." There was consequence. Or he would, "But Dad, I'm going to be late." There's consequence for not having done that. You have to be prepared a little bit, right, to work with that in a way. And so pretty soon, it's done once, it's done twice. The next day, after a couple of these consequence days, the kid's running down the stairs, and he sees his dad at the bottom of the stairs, and the dad was so proud because he goes, "Look, Dad," he opens his mouth, big teeth, smiling, right? He goes, "I brushed my teeth, right? Let's go."
Yeah.
And so it doesn't take a lot. We have to give our kids credit when it's give them a win, but they want to do it. We just have to show them, guide them through that path, right?
Yeah.
And it works out.
I'm not sure if that would really have motivated me, though. If you don't brush your teeth, I'm not going to take you to school. It's like,
Right.
perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
That works. Yeah. Okay, then.
We'll watch soaps all day.
Find what's right for you.
Every family's different.
Every family's different,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So motivation changes by age and personality.
Yeah.
So for the younger ones, it's stickers and praise. And when they get older,
I still love getting a star, Kim.
do
Okay,
you?
yeah.
All right.
I get them at the grocery
store.
store
Yeah.
when I don't have to ask the cashier to help me 18 times. She always gives me an amazing sticker.
That is awesome.
What?
I know.
I don't get them.
Yeah, I do. I've gotten 2 so far.
Oh my gosh.
But do you see how it works?
have to
Yes.
It carries through your whole life.
Yes.
This is the
And you
power.
remember,
And
Yeah.
what a big job we have as parents, as moms, do this because it carries through
Yeah.
I know.
through your whole life.
And
right?
unfortunately, and that's why we do this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately back then, and I was an older mom
We were
too. I
flying
should have known
blind.
We're
better.
flying blind, yeah. Doing
So-
our best.
But I could have used a lot of these tips here.
Yeah. Hey, what about like chore bingo? Think that would work?
Absolutely.
It's a game. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you fill in chores and
Yep.
you get a reward when they
Yep.
complete a row. Turns into a game.
I'd be
Me
on board
too.
with that because that would be something that
And
you
I'm
can
going to win.
see.
Okay?
Right? See? Already the
See?
gloves are
Yes,
off,
the gloves
right?
are off.
And
Competition.
I'll let you win.
Oh, see, now that
Nice,
wrecks it.
nice. That was perfect.
Yeah, but that wrecks it. If somebody does that, then it's like,
Yeah.
we can tell that you don't want to do your chores.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or there's a fun reward at the end of it.
Yes.
Right? And hey, and my wife did this a lot. And she'd blast the stereo, and everyone's dancing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they knew after that, and they craved that, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so if there is something at the end of it,
Okay, on the flip side, let's be real. It's not always a win, right? Some days it's all whining and bargaining and nothing gets done. And there will be those days, many of those days.
Yes.
We have those days, right?
yeah,
I have many of those days. Hey,
Yeah.
we just got to accept that.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
with some structure, a little motivation, and maybe a popsicle at the end, we'll get there.
Yeah. Be honest, sometimes chores just don't get done.
We have to try to remind ourselves that the goal isn't a perfectly folded towel or a perfectly made bed. It's a capable human being
Right.
learning these skills.
that's the goal.
Great.
Yeah.
A dream of a teenager who knows how to do their own laundry without turning everything pink.
make sure, because I'm the dad here, make sure the dad's involved and don't put it all on yourself, right? For moms out there. There's some great songs that talk, I'd love to play that on the background, where, a mom should be signed up for sainthood. What they do, but don't put it all on yourself. Like, that's why you have a partner, right? And you shouldn't feel bad about asking for that.
I know.
That type of help.
I love that.
See why we
Thank you,
asked Nick to be a guest.
Yeah, we didn't even address that perspective.
No.
And you're right.
That's it for today's episode. Oh my God.
I know.
That went fast.
Yep.
So whether
Thank you,
you're
Kim and Kim.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And whether your kid is vacuuming like a pro or pretending the sock bin is a pirate ship, you're doing amazing.
Exactly.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you again for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review. Tell us, what chores do your kids do, and do you pay them? Or are you in the no paycheck for dishwashing camp, and how much do you pay them?
Yeah, how much? That would be interesting to know.
Would be really interesting, yeah.
So until next time, keep the coffee flowing, the chore charts hopeful, and the expectations realistic.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you feel heard, supported, and empowered, and we know you do your best. We're here for you. We're your cheerleaders. Please send in 100%. Your questions to askmomstoday@gmail.com.
And remember, as always, you're not alone. So until next time, take care of yourself, please.
You've got this.